Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rams post-draft show presented by Zillow with the head coach of your Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay, and my friend D'Marco Farr. I'm JB Long, and we're coming to you from the Zillow Draft HQ at LAFD Air Operations after the Rams wrap up day 3. And, Sean, it's been 5 years now that the Rams have been going off-site with their drafts, but this one was unlike any before it in terms of, some real poignant moments. What are your takeaways from drafting here in Van Nuys?
It was special. I think, what's so special about it, obviously the things that these people did, these first responders, to help our community get through a really challenging time. And I think when you talk about sports, you always talk about, in our culture, we, then me, being transformational, not transactional. And by just nature of what these people chose to do as a profession, they embody and demonstrate all those things. Got a chance to spend some time with them yesterday, a little bit of an extended period of time before Friday night ended up starting, and then 8 of our players to come over here. And it was a really cool event, and it's been really cool to just be able to spend time, to be able to use the platform that we're so blessed and fortunate to have, to really honor and recognize them. And you can feel the gratitude, the appreciation, and I think the perspective is the best part about it. And I'm really proud to be a part of this organization and to be able to get a chance to meet so many special people that make decisions that are in alignment with what you want to try to be about and continue to strive to go in those directions as a human being. Is pretty special, and I've really enjoyed it.
It's wild. I mean, Brave doesn't quite cover it, but when you talk to them, they're happy to talk to you, and you're like, wait a minute, I want to hear from you and talk to you about your experiences. So professional, the way they talk about their job. Yeah.
No question. And you know what's cool, too, and you know this, D'Marco, the consistent carryover in terms of the things that make these people great are usually in alignment with what allows our players to shine, or coaches to be good leaders and ambassadors for how you influence and affect positive change. And I think there's a lot of interesting dialogue that takes place in these types of spaces where there's a cross respect for the different platforms and a lot of the things that are in alignment with performing and producing at a high level, even though their stakes and this is way bigger than what we're doing. There still is a consistent carryover where you're always trying to learn and share.
Let's start at the top and let's go back a couple of days.
Let's do it.
If a week ago or thereabouts we had said to you, Sean, there's a chance that 26 could turn into Terrence Ferguson and next year's first-round pick, how would that have landed for you?
I would have never anticipated that. But I think when you look at it, that's how the draft unfolds, because you talk about draft capital, but then you start attaching people to it. And you look at it and you really say, even going back to last year, I think there would have been a lot of people that if you're just going off these point charts, things like that, oh, man, that's rich for what we did with Carolina. We would do that 1,000 times out of 1,000 again to be able to come away with Braden Fisk. And it'll be the same thing for the Falcons. But it was awesome because we had such appreciation for Terrence Ferguson. There was a bunch of guys that we really liked, and we felt the comfort to be able to say, hey, we love a lot of players that are going to be maybe in this area between 26 and 50, if you will. So you feel the luxury of being able to go back. You find a partner in Atlanta that really had an appreciation for a player that they wanted to come up for. And then we'll give Raheem back his pick anyways. It only seemed appropriate. So, no, I don't know that I could have anticipated it working out quite as well as it did. But ultimately, for me as a coach, I'm really excited and grateful for the opportunity to work with Terrence Ferguson, watch him get a chance to play, with Tyler Higbee, with Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, Scott Huff. Being able to add a draft pick is pretty cool. I texted Nick Caley. Now we'll jump into 12 personnel. Now that we got somebody that can coach 2 tight ends, I'm just messing with Gales. But it'll be fun.
That must be something cool when you get an athlete like that. He's fast, the guy can catch. We've seen him play at Oregon, but to get to learn under Tyler Higbee, to learn what this game is about, that position, how you like that position to be played, that's got to be great for him.
Yeah, and I think, us three have a real appreciation. I don't think Tyler Higbee gets the respect around the league that he deserves. And really, you talk about a true glue guy, a guy that his teammates love, that produces in both phases. I thought he brought a tremendous spark. I've always known and we've always appreciated him, but when you get him back last year, you realize what a spark he provided from just an overall morale, leadership, production on the field, ability to positively push your teammates when you're in the midst of competing with them. And so that's a big deal. Want to keep him fresh, and to be able to have 3 other guys in that room when you're adding Terrence. We'll add probably somebody in the undrafted free agent process as well. But very excited about what this possibly means for our ability to be able to present some different things to defenses in the upcoming season.
No, I think this draft was a great reflection of what's come out of the last 2 years. In the last two classes, 24 picks in those groups, only a half a dozen
Well
here
said.
this weekend. But you were particularly urgent today, I would say, in trading capital to get up and
That's
to get
right.
some priority players. Was that a reflection of your board and what was left? Was it the limited number of helmets that you anticipate even being up for grabs on game days?
I think it's all of the above. And I think the fortunate thing, like you just mentioned, being able to use a lot of draft capital over the last 2 years. We had to make a lot of tough decisions after that 22 season, but you've seen a tremendous amount of influence and effect that these last two draft classes have had on what our team looks like right now. And you're always trying to project. You're always trying to add guys in that you have a vision for, hopefully being able to allow them to bring it to life alongside their teammates and coaches. But being able to come away with 6 players, that was exactly how things unfolded in regards to addressing positions, but really having a real appreciation for those players. And so we were able to kind of hit the spots that we wanted. And I think Les and I, when we went into this draft, we said in an ideal situation, without chasing for a need or things that you're really looking for, let's have a real appreciation for the player, but let's address the front, inside and outside, keep adding to that. If there's an inside backer that we feel really strongly about, let's go do that. And then let's continue to add to the depth on our offensive skill, really from all 3 spots with the receiver, tight end, and running back position. And we're able to check all those boxes with 6 players. And I think that worked out really well for us.
I'm happy you got the edge guy. We were talking about that before. You
called a lot of this. Yeah, added to the front.
Never have enough edge guys. But the rookies from last year going into year 2, they say you make your biggest jump year 1 to year 2, and then you add more on top of that. So more than just an era, like you said, when you can add players, good players, and be able to pick and choose. This is where you want to be as a National Football League football team, a team that's chasing championships. When you can just add more good players and then get on doing what you're trying to do.
There's no question. And I think if there's anything that you've learned, being so fortunate to go into year 9, you got to earn it every single year. And you'd like to be able to say momentum, but there's such a gap in the action. There's so many different things in terms of how you come together as a team. Now, you want to use your previous experiences to have some confidence to build on, but you're rebuilding that foundation every single year, even if it might be with some of the same players. And look no further. I just mentioned it in the post-draft presser. Look at our last 2 years. We finished with a lot of momentum, going 7-1, playing Detroit tight a couple years ago. Then we start off 1-4. So we got to do a great job of making sure that there's the appropriate amount of humility, hard work, enjoying what we're doing, the mindset, the energy that we need to be able to bring. And if we do that, we'll give ourselves the best chance to maximize what a special group this can be, but we've got to go earn that.
Sean, the fact that you don't draft a defensive back here this weekend, what a vote of confidence for the group that you have in your secondary or expect to have in your secondary when you report to training camp.
That's right, and I think you feel really good about that. We played a lot of different guys on the back end. You look at some of the different contributions that we got. I think it was a big deal to be able to say, let's re-sign Akello Witherspoon. You were able to develop some depth with the safety position. You go sign Cam Curl in free agency. Quentin Lake continues to ascend as one of the leaders on our defense. And then you look at Cam Kitchens, got a bunch of meaningful snaps. Jalen McCullough earns the opportunity to be able to play as a safety in some of the dime linebacker spots. You get Darius in free agency as a corner. You're watching Jacoby Durant continue to ascend into a really damn good player for us. Excited to get Darian Kendrick back off of injury that he sustained and suffered in the early parts of training camp. And then Josh Wallace is another guy that when his number was called, he just delivered. And so to see that group continue to mature, continue to be what they're capable of, I'm excited about it. And, they've got some great leaders with Chris, with Aubrey, with Coach Beak. They do an excellent job.
I'm trying not to smile. I can't wait to see DK back in uniform. I just love it. And I think you could see it. The light bulb came on for Akello Witherspoon. He became a different player towards the end of the year.
Well, and I think he really hit his stride. You forget how late we added him. And I thought he played really well in the previous year. And he's a guy that, he's like the ageless wonder. He still has such a youth about the way that he goes about it, but he's accumulated this incredible amount of experience over the course of his career. And I think being able to have him go through an off-season program into a training camp, things that were not present in the previous 2 seasons, just looking at when he ended up joining us, I think that'll be a big boost to his ability to be able to play at an even higher level with the way that he goes about his business.
When I look at the picks you made from blue blood programs from power conferences, was that just a coincidence, or do you think that there was evidence of tape and the competition that maybe makes those Rams ready to go from day one?
It was all of the above, and certainly we do not discriminate against great players from different conferences or smaller schools, if you will. But I think there was a narrative in terms of these guys. They all check the boxes with, hey, is football important to me? Have I been through some different things that have tested my resilience, my ability to overcome adversity? Am I mentally and physically wired the right way that will fit in while still also offering an individual personality that makes the collective fun and unique? And all 6 of those guys check those boxes. And I can't say enough about just the amount of work that's done behind the scenes from our scouts, traveling around the country, gathering an amazing amount of inventory and information that really allows us as coaches to stay put, trust the film, do any extra, necessary work that's required. But for the most part, these guys do such a phenomenal job. And I think, Les and I being able to work in collaboration, going into now the 9th time that we've done this, you realize that can be a real edge, seeing the game through the same lens, understanding the vision that we have. And that is a fluid thing, what we might have said in year 1 to year 9, but you always got to be able to move and adjust and adapt. But it's always about people. I think we've really leaned into that, especially over the last few years. And I think that's been reflected in the caliber of human beings, most importantly, that then give themselves the chance to reach their highest potential.
Sounds like us. Different. Year 9, year 1. Which draft pick has the horse? Who has the horse named Danger?
That would be Jarquez.
The country boy from Mississippi.
Jarquez, man, Hunter.
That's real? He has a horse named Danger.
Danger.
Yeah.
And he dunked a basketball in cowboy boots?
Well, that's news to me.
Is that
but
new? Okay.
I wouldn't put it past him. He's explosive.
Because he squats 655.
Yeah, he looks
He's
like
going
it.
to challenge your punter in the weight room.
Yeah, our punter is not going to be putting that much weight on his back. And neither will our running back, Justin Lovett, all right? Listen, that's not how we win games.
No. But that's awesome. And there were some guys that you drafted that had been to multiple schools. I guess that's what you're going to have to get used to these days?
I think so.
Shows a level of want to.
You know what I think's been cool, too, though? Like when you look at Josiah Stewart's, career trajectory going from Coastal to Michigan. We got 4 guys on our defensive line that are pretty impactful guys that have kind of done the same sort of thing. When you look at Kobe Turner, BY, from being able to go to Tennessee for his last 2 years where he was at Georgia Military, and then you talk about what our 2 guys last year with Fisk and with Verse. So there's a special thing that I think when you really look at it, but then, Pooh Paul starts at Arkansas, ends up going to Ole Miss. So each player has its own journey, but there are certain things, if you look for similarities, you're saying, I'm going to bet on that person. And then when you just look at, what they've done to impact the different places, and are they looking for the highest level of competition? Do they have that good chip on their shoulder where they're always kind of having that overachiever mindset with the humility that's necessary to sustain a level of success? That's what we like.
Shout out to Stu Jackson, who points out the Rams now have a Pooh, a Puna, and a Puka.
He did.
It's a broadcaster's nightmare. We got a lot to keep track of there.
Stu. Look at old Stu, man. Just finding the poo.
With a straight
poo.
face, he said that. Yeah.
Golly, I can't wait to see where you go with that.
It's for another day.
Coming soon.
Any favorite call or moment that will stick with you from this weekend?
It meant a lot to all of them, but Josiah Stewart was pretty cool. I mean, I'm so excited about all 6 of the players that we were able to take off, but the emotion, hearing the energy in the background when he received that call, you could see how much it means to all of them, but you could especially feel the emotion come through on the call. I don't know if they've released that one publicly or not, but that was a pretty special one to be able to have at the end of the night last night.
And help me, the receiver from Pitt, it's Konata?
Konata. Yep.
Konate.
He can separate.
Not Konate, it's Konata. Okay, good player.
Yeah,
gets all
really
over the place.
Good.
Yeah,
no, and he's wired to separate. We are big fans of his. Very surprised that we were fortunate enough to be able to get him when we did, and he had a pretty cool reaction too when we called him. And I told him, man, we've had some pretty special Pitt Panthers. The last guy that was a Pitt Panther on our team, that's some big shoes to live up to.
You didn't put that on him, did you? You didn't put that on him, did you?
Well, I'm not putting it on him, but he's a Pitt Panther, is he not?
That's true.
He said he's freaking ready.
Awesome. And now the work begins.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good luck with the continuation of OTAs.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a great
this was cool. This was
here
really
in Van
cool.
Nuys for all involved.
You score
Thanks,
touchdowns,
guys.
but they fly helicopters.
Yeah, this is very
impressive.
Big picture, way bigger in the real scheme of things,
Just
as
a
we
little
all know.
And that'll wrap up our Rams post-draft show presented by Zillow. We hope you've enjoyed all the coverage these last few days from the Zillow Draft HQ at LAFD Air Operations. For D'Marco and Sean, I'm JB. Keep it right here on all your Rams channels for more throughout the OTAs.